What's going on, everybody? Welcome into episode 27 of the MudWatch Sports Podcast on this Friday, December 6th, 2024. I'm your host, Zach Malamud. Before we get started today, please subscribe below, follow all of my social accounts. Let's get things going with some NFL previews as both New York teams are in action this Sunday. And let's start off with the New York Jets. They are 3-9 and travel on the road to take on the 5-7 Miami Dolphins. The Jets, like I said, 3-9, but a lot of guys questionable for this game. CJ Mosley, Breece Hall, Sauce Gardner amongst the guys that are questionable heading into this one. Miami has some questionable guys as well, one of them being Tyreek Hill, but it looks like he'll probably end up playing in this one. I mean, when you look at this game overall, the Dolphins come in as 5.5-point favorites, and rightfully so. They're at home in Miami, and the Jets have not won in a long time. Obviously, the Jets have struggled and haven't won since that Thursday night game against the Houston Texans on Halloween. It's over a month since then, so they've had the bye week and 3 losses in that time. So they're looking to turn some things around and try and figure something out in order to win games, but it doesn't look like it's coming anytime soon. As for Miami, they lost to Green Bay on Thanksgiving on the road. A tough game for them up in Lambeau. And Miami, the storyline in cold weather is not a good one. And they have continued to lose when they go up north. And now they go back down south towards Miami and play against this Jets team that's really struggling. Miami looking for a playoff spot right now. It's not going to be an easy road for them, as both the AFC West teams, the Chargers and the Broncos, continue to rack up wins and continue to win games pretty handily. So when you look at this game overall, it's a big one for Miami. They need to get a win to continue to challenge for a playoff spot in the AFC. So right now for the Jets, you got to just put your best foot forward and get your guys out there and show some sort of effort. There's the question of Aaron Rodgers continuing to be the Jets quarterback. Will he be benched? I don't think so at this point. It's a little bit too late in the year. It's week 14 already, so only 4 weeks to go, really, and it just wouldn't make sense at this point to put Rodgers on the bench. When you look at the Jets, though, the question of will Rodgers be back next year? Will he be the quarterback? Will Devontae Adams be back next year? All those questions yet to be answered. Obviously, that's more of a question for the offseason, but it all starts right now in my mind. I think when you look at this Jets team and the season being done, they have to figure out the future and figure out what the plans are for next year. So a big game in Miami and see if the Jets can really challenge the Dolphins. But, I mean, the Dolphins needing a win right now, like I said, in the AFC playoff picture, it's going to be hard to see the Jets coming out with a victory here. But tune into this one Sunday at 1 o'clock, 3-9 Jets, 5-7 Dolphins down in Miami. And we look at the next game, and it's the New York Giants on the other side of MetLife Stadium. And inside MetLife Stadium, they'll play the 4-8 New Orleans Saints. Giants in the basement of the NFL. Said it countless amount of times, sitting at 2-10 and just looking for a win here to give some confidence to this team and really break this losing skid that the Giants have been on. I think when you look at this game overall, though, the Saints come in at 4-8 and really looking to grab a win overall. They're 4.5-point favorites, total sitting at 40.5. But when you look at the Saints, they lost Taysom Hill. That's a big part of their offense right now. Really, all they have left is Carr, maybe some weapons, some random guys here and there, your Marquez Valdez-Scantlings of the world, and then they have Alvin Kamara in the backfield. So really, the Giants' game plan, stop Kamara. If you could stop Kamara, hopefully you can figure stuff out. But it's going to be Drew Lock starting at quarterback for the Giants, and Tommy DeVito going to be on the bench for this one. And when you look at Lock, the game last week was not bad per se. It wasn't good, but the turnovers really were the story in the end. The fumble as well as the interception. Yes, he got some touchdowns in the end and got the rushing touchdown late in the game to really cut the lead to a close one rather than a blowout type of game, which it really was for the entire time on Thanksgiving Day in Dallas. When you look at Locke, the turnovers are something that he definitely needs to cut out. He's going up against the Saints defense that has been really, really banged up and really weak so far this season. So maybe the Giants have a chance. Only 4.5-point underdogs. I know Giants fans are begging for a loss right now. They do not want to win this game. They want a quarterback in the draft, and obviously looking towards maybe that number 1 or number 2 pick. They're not going to get that by winning games. They have to lose these games. Obviously, some teams towards the bottom of the NFL also don't look like they're anytime close to winning games. Jacksonville is down there, one of those teams in mind. But when you look at these teams overall, I think the Saints have the advantage coming into this game. Clearly, they're coming off of a loss against the Rams on their home field, but they had 2 straight wins right before that, Cleveland as well as Atlanta. So Saints a bit of momentum. Obviously, they are without Taysom Hill. That's a big loss for them, like I mentioned. But the Giants come in at 2-10 and just looking for some positivity. And Brian Daboll and Joe Schoen, I'm sure I mentioned it earlier in the week, they're fighting for their job right now in my mind and really would want to rack up some wins. Don't really care about the draft position overall. They're trying to save their jobs. But question if the Giants will go out there and fight for those guys. That's been the story for the last couple of weeks. And it looks like the Giants probably will fall again. We'll see what happens. 4.5-point underdogs. They are the 4-8 Saints taking on the 2-10 Giants at MetLife Stadium, 1 o'clock on Sunday. Shifting things to the hardwood, the New York Knicks were in action last night against the Charlotte Hornets, and the Knicks with finally a comfortable win against the Charlotte Hornets. They've had a couple of close calls recently when they've played Charlotte. LaMelo Ball was out for this one, and the Knicks, who played Charlotte a couple weeks ago, a 99-98 win in that one, they come back home for this one. They win this one 125-101, and a game that they really handled throughout, and the third quarter was the difference, a 38-16 scoring advantage for the Knicks in the third quarter, coming out of the halftime locker room in a game that was a bit close when it came to the first half. There were some times where you thought, all right, maybe another close game between the Knicks and Charlotte. Brace yourselves. The Knicks really handled it well in the second half, and they end up blowing out the Hornets in this one. OG Anunoby, 25 points in this one, as well as Karl Anthony Towns with 27 points. He had 16 rebounds to be added to that. Mikal Bridges with 7 assists in this game as well. So when you look at the Knicks, the spread of the wealth, it continues to roll, and Bridges actually played 47 minutes in this one, played a lot of time, and really got the job done. 19 points in the end. I mentioned the 7 assists, also added 3 rebounds to it. But the wealth has been spread around for the New York Knicks, and they really look good right now with all 5 of these starters getting a ton of points. They also get Deuce McBride coming off the bench. He had 10 last night. But the starting lineup is a story here. They continue to roll, continue to rack up points, big stats, big stat lines. In the end, Josh Hart with another great game, 18 points, 10 rebounds, 6 assists, got a steal as well. I think when you look at Brunson and Towns, though, they have 24 points for Brunson, 27 points for Towns. Then you get the 5 assists from Brunson's, the 16 rebounds from Karl Anthony Towns. They do it all, those 2 guys, and really get this team rolling. But then it's the couple of guys after that, the Bridges, Anunoby, and Harts of the world that really, really step up when those guys aren't in a great spot. Brunson and Towns, most of the time they are in a great spot, but it's good to have that backup plan where you're going to Bridges and Anunoby and Hart. I think the big thing for the Knicks, and Tom Thibodeau has talked about it recently, really just the great ball movement that they have, setting their teammates up for great opportunities. I think that's something they definitely worked on with Tibbs in this offseason and to start this season, just moving the ball around. All 5 of these guys can really score the ball, and getting them going. I think the ball movement has done a terrific job so far this season of really helping the Knicks advance now to 14-8 on the year. Really feeling good right now. The win streak is moving for the New York Knicks. It's up to 4 right now. That's including some of the NBA Cup games. I think when you look at the Knicks, though, they have to feel really, really strong right now. At home as well, they're really, really good so far this year. 8-2 of that 14-8 record. So it's going to be hard in the playoffs for a team to go to the Garden. It always is, and that's a positive sign so far this season. So the Knicks feeling really good right now. They will take on a Detroit Pistons team tomorrow on December 7th on Saturday, a 7:30 start to that one, and the Knicks will look to continue their run on their home floor against the Pistons, who come into that game at 9-15. So that should be an interesting one. Tune into that one tomorrow. The Knicks taking on the Pistons, a 7:30 start, but the Knicks with a 125-101 victory over the Charlotte Hornets yesterday. And to finish things off today, it's another edition of a Sunday football preview. If you're new to this, each week I'll pick 2 to 3 of the top games across the NFL slate and share my thoughts on them. 2 games this week, and really surrounding the AFC and the top of the AFC specifically. First game of Sunday, 4:25, a massive game. The 10-2 Buffalo Bills traveling to SoFi to take on the 6-6 Los Angeles Rams. And the Bills come into this game as 3.5-point favorites, total sitting at 49.5. Bills coming into this game on a 7-game win streak. They are rolling right now. Credit to Josh Allen and these guys who really in the offseason, all the talk about the losses and the trades and really not the same team. They have stormed through the AFC East. They already clinched the division. It's over already at the beginning of December. They won that against the San Francisco 49ers last week, the 35-10 win on Sunday night. They clinched the division with that one. Crazy to say on December 1st. They're the first team to actually clinch a division right now in the NFL. But the Rams come into this game at 6-6, coming off the win in New Orleans. But I look at this game and say, it really speaks volumes what they did against Philadelphia a couple weeks ago. Another team that's rolling through teams and rolling through the NFL right now. The 37-20 loss that the Rams took a couple weeks ago on prime time. I'm looking at that one and saying, well, it really was 37-13 in the end and a complete blowout until Cooper Kupp scored that late touchdown. But it was a blowout in the end. Philly really just took it to Los Angeles at SoFi. I'm thinking the Bills do the same here. I do think this spread is a little bit low. It really a little creepy in my mind. 3.5. I think when you look at that, you think more of a trap game. I think the Bills just roll the Rams here, and this one's not really a close game overall. Yes, the Rams have the firepower on offense, but I don't think anybody's stepping in the way of the Buffalo Bills right now. I mentioned that 7-game win streak that they're on, just completely rolling through teams. So this one should be an interesting one. Tune in 4:25 on Sunday. 10-2 Bills, 6-6 Rams go to battle at SoFi. The other game I'm going to talk about is the Sunday night game, a big one at Kansas City and at Arrowhead. When you look at the Chiefs, they come into this one 11-1. They take on the Los Angeles Chargers at 8-4, 8:20 on Sunday night. A massive game in the AFC West and maybe some implications on seeding, maybe giving the Chargers a bit of a chance still to come back. They look to end a 6-game skid against the Kansas City Chiefs. The Chargers do. They've had their number, the Chiefs had, and really when you look at the spread, this one a 4-point spread for Kansas City, total sitting at 42.5. Yes, the Chiefs are the home team, and that would explain a bit of the spread, but they got the quarterback in Patrick Mahomes, and although this one has been a iffy year for Patrick Mahomes, not the greatest year, but also not the worst year, you look at the Chiefs and say, they got the quarterback, they got the offense, they got the home crowd behind them, and even the defense has stepped up. I think this one should be a Chiefs win. However, this one's sitting at 4. The Chiefs have continued to find ways to struggle when it comes to covering the spread. They have continued to really play in close battles, even against bad teams. You look at the last 2 specifically. Black Friday against Las Vegas, a 19-17 win, which the Chiefs probably should have handled it, but the Raiders mounted a comeback and made it close in the end. and the Chiefs had no answers on the other end on offense. Then you look at the other game that they played a couple weeks ago in Carolina, 30-27, excuse me, win for the Chiefs. But that one also, Chiefs led late and had a bit of a bigger lead and just let it slide. And all of a sudden, Carolina mounts a comeback and they end up winning that game in overtime, the Chiefs do. So you look at the Chiefs, it hasn't been easy. And I think when you look at the Chargers, a gritty enough team, yeah, they're coming off of a really good win against Atlanta, but then they also had that game the week before that against Baltimore, 30-27. They lost that game on their home field. I actually picked the Chargers in that game on their home field. When it comes to those upper echelon teams, will the Chargers step up? I do think the Chiefs cover this spread. 4 points. I'm going to pick the Chiefs to win it and as well as cover the spread. 4 points. I know that they've been in a lot of close battles, but I do think that the Chargers need to up their game when it comes to playing against those top teams. They haven't done that this year, and I'll pick the Chiefs to cover this one at Arrowhead Stadium. But tune into that one Sunday night, 8:20 start as the Chiefs take on the Chargers on Sunday Night Football. But that'll do it for episode 27 of the MudWatch Sports Podcast. Please subscribe below. I've been Zach Malamud. Thanks for watching. Talk to you all on Monday.